Oh, we don't have the card she promised. Or just as attachment. Awesome, the vendor came out. What's the card?
Arthur's just going.
Who's gonna run the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yeah, right, we're here.
Recording secretary, please start the meeting.
The meeting is now being recorded.
I would like to call the regular meeting of June 24th, 2024 to order. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Will the secretary please call roll?
Commissioner Benninger,
Present.
Commissioner Escamilla, Commissioner Leo, Commissioner Ramos,
Present.
Commissioner Wu,
Here.
Vice Chair Oliva,
Here.
Chair Pham. Vice Chair quorum has been reached at 5:35.
Thank you. Before we begin, I would like to remind my fellow commissioners to turn your microphones on when speaking and off when not speaking. And when speaking, please keep the microphone about 4 inches away from you. Thank you. Members of the public may attend Planning Commission meetings in person or virtually via Zoom. I now invite the Commission Secretary to describe the way the public can access and participate in this meeting.
This meeting is being live streamed via our portal at www.sana-anna.primegov.com/public/portal and to YouTube at www.youtube.com/City of Santa Ana videos. If you would like to provide public comment, you may do so in the following ways. Join the meeting via Zoom, enter meeting ID number 812-316-21441. When the item that you would like to comment on is being discussed, select the hand icon to let us know you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the name you entered. You can also join the meeting by calling 669-900-6833. Enter meeting ID number 812-316-21441. When the item that you would like to comment on is being discussed, press 9 to let us know you would like to speak. You will be called upon by the last 3 digits of your phone number. After you're called upon, you may press 6 to unmute yourself. For those who are attending this meeting in person and would like to provide public comment, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. All speakers will have 3 minutes to speak. I will alert you when your time is up.
Moving on to public comments on non-agenda or non-public hearing items. Secretary, does anyone wish to speak?
If you're attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on non-agenda or non-public hearing items, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you are participating via Zoom and would like to comment on non-agenda or non-public hearing items, please select the hand icon and unmute yourself. If you are calling in and would like to comment on non-agenda or non-public hearing items, please dial 9 and then 6 to unmute yourself. Vice Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion to approve item A, minutes from June 10th, 2020?
I move. I second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wu and a second by Commissioner Benninger. Secretary, please call for roll call vote.
Commissioner Benninger,
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla, Commissioner Leo, Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Oliva,
Aye.
Chair Pham. Motion approved by majority vote with Commissioners Gamilla, Commissioner Leo, and Chair Pham absent.
And Vice Chair, if I could just make a friendly suggestion too, since we know a couple of commissioners are on their way, you can always do the excused absences at the end of the meeting as well, when you know for sure who came and who didn't come.
That totally works. I will pause and hand the meeting over to Chair Pham, or Chair Bao.
Let the record show I was late. That concludes the consent calendar. Moving on to public hearing. I will now review the process for the public hearing so that everyone knows what to expect. Staff will provide a presentation answering questions from the commission. The public hearing will then be open. The applicant will then be given the opportunity to speak, limited to 15 minutes. Members of the public will then be given the opportunity to comment, limited to 3 minutes. The applicant will then be given the opportunity to respond comments made by the public, limited to 5 minutes. The public hearing will then be closed. Discussion will return to the commission with formal action taken to approve, deny, or continue review of the application. Please consider the following suggestions when organizing your comments. Please state your name and address, which is voluntary. State whether you support, oppose, or are neutral to the proposal. Your statement should include all pertinent facts within your knowledge. Please note, decisions on this matter is final unless appealed within 10 days by any interested individual or party. Recommendations on this item will be forwarded to the City Council at a later date for final determination. We also have Commissioner Escamilla joining us. This is the time and place for conditional use permit number 2024-05 for the property located at 1430 East Edinger Avenue, located within the light industrial M1 zoning district. Before we begin, do any of the commissioners have anything they wish to disclose? Seeing none, Heidi will now give us a brief presentation. Heidi.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, members of the commission. The application before you this evening is for Tom's Jr., a CUP for drive-through window services. The application number is 2024-05 for the property located at 1430 East Edinger within Ward 6. Darian Raddick with Novum Architecture on behalf of Spiros Politis is requesting approval of the CUP to develop an eating establishment, Tom's Jr., with drive-through window service at a site previously occupied by an eating establishment. Staff's recommendation is that the commission adopt a resolution approving CUP number 2024-05 as conditioned. The property is located within the General Commercial General Plan designation in Light Industrial Zoning District. It is shown here in red on the screen. Surrounding land uses include an eating establishment with drive-through services to the north, a service station to the east, a commercial center to the south, and a commercial center to the west. The lot is approximately 0.51 acres, which equates to 22,364 square feet. The building size is 2,450 square feet. The request this evening is to develop the site with, the project site is developed with a 3,060 square foot commercial building previously occupied by an eating establishment. The request would establish a new eating establishment, Tom's Jr., with drive-through window services. Additionally, the applicant would reduce the size of the building to 2,450 square feet to accommodate the drive-through lane, as well as make various on-site improvements and facade upgrades. The applicant proposes to operate Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. At this time, no after-hours, live entertainment, or alcohol sales are proposed. The site was previously developed in 1976 with a Yellow Basket restaurant, which remained in operation until December 2022, when the new owner acquired the site. The new owner then submitted development project application number 2023-04 on February 1st, 2023, and worked with staff to address various site concerns related to circulation, landscaping, and required dedications. This application was deemed complete on May 6, 2024. The property owner is an experienced property owner and owns 5 other Tom's Jr. locations in City of Los Angeles, Linwood, Southgate, Compton, and Norco. This location would be the first location in Santa Ana and Orange County. On the screen, we have the current condition of the commercial building. And on the screen, we have the proposed site plan. And the proposed floor plan, which the red portion shows the area that would be reduced to accommodate for the drive-through lane. So staff's recommending approval of this project as the M1 zoning district designation enables the applicant to submit the required CUP application for consideration by the Planning Commission to conditionally permit the proposed drive-through window service. This proposed establishment would also provide additional service to workers in the vicinity and residents of the area. This would also activate the underutilized property and generate new and permanent employment opportunities, which would contribute to the economic growth and stability of the city. This project site is also located in a predominantly commercial area, approximately 1,080 feet away from sensitive land uses. Additionally, the applicant is proposing various site modifications to ensure compliance with all applicable development standards. Additionally, the drive-through lane provides adequate space to accommodate vehicle demand without disrupting on-site circulation or parking and without concerns related to pedestrian circulation on-site. Lastly, the project has been deemed consistent with various goals and policies of the general plan, including those found in the land use and economic prosperity element. Pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, this project is categorically exempt per Section 15310, which applies to existing facilities. Therefore, staff will be filing environmental review number 2023-32 for this project. This project, there would be no fiscal impact associated with this project. Therefore, staff's recommendation is that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution approving CUP number 2024-05 as conditioned. And that concludes my presentation. I am available for questions. Thank you. And the applicant, Darian, is in the audience, available for questions as well.
Thank you, Heidi. Does the commission have any question for Heidi? Commissioner Berenger?
Yes, could you put up the graphic showing the drive-through lane in the parking lot? Thank you. So will there be significant landscaping brought in with this project? Landscaping, what's going to be landscaped with this project?
Yes, so currently there is limited landscaping. As part of this project, the applicant will also be reducing the building to address providing the minimum landscaping at the front and meet the required dedication. And so this front area would be landscaping until the city, until the dedication is designated to the city. Additionally, there are various planters throughout the parking lot that have been added and a landscape planter to provide a buffer with from the drive-through lane and the drive aisle.
And so they're going to be entering the parking lot on Ettinger?
Yes, so with this configuration, the customers visiting the drive-through lane would be encouraged to take access from Ettinger and then navigate through the drive-through lane and then again exit on Ettinger. There will be signage on Grand that directs to Ettinger.
You mentioned about sensitive property. I assume those are apartments there next to them? What's that sensitive property next to the site?
Next to the site?
You said up there that it's close to sensitive
The closest
property?
okay.
Okay, I don't know what you mean by sensitive property.
Sure. That is single-family residences? Over to the northwest?
All right, I'm all set. I'll just say that I know of Tommy's because I used to work up in LA County, so I'm glad that we're the first. I'm glad we're coming to Santa Ana.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Okay, thank you, Chair. I guess just the first thing, the dedication, is that happening on Main Street? So is that a city, can you go into detail a little bit more? I'm sorry, I missed that in the staff report.
Yes, so the Public Works Agency requires a dedication on East Ettinger. I believe it was 8 feet along Ettinger and 10 feet along Grand. And that would be related to sidewalk and street widening.
Okay, and my understanding is that the city has basically stalled out, or at least stopped all efforts, or kind of is making a policy decision in general on not pursuing additional street widenings. But here again, we have a situation, I think, similar to one that's occurred maybe once or twice now with me up here, where we're asking for a dedication that we don't intend to use, that's requiring the applicant to actually kind of modify the building and kind of actually resulting probably in less usable net space at an additional higher cost of construction. So I don't know like where and how we kind of systematically go about saying like these dedications that we might have required back in 1990 are not going to be applicable anymore, like where they should or shouldn't apply. Because I think it's adding additional layers of work to a project that probably wouldn't necessarily need it. So that's at least what I'm seeing here with this dedication. So I just wanted to kind of voice that. I know there's the policy and we have to follow it, but I'm thinking that there is or should be some examination of that policy because it has a negative impact, at least on this project, is the way that I see it. So I know that we have to, not disputing that, but definitely think that we need to look at that in more detail as part of our just overall review. And then number 2, do we have a copy of the landscape plan in the PowerPoint?
No, we do not this evening.
Okay, so on the landscape plan in the attachments, so this would be, I guess, sheet L2. Oh my gosh, sorry, it's a little small here. But we're basically coming in with a series of queen palms in a certain number of Brisbane boxes. Would just generally, again, from a landscape perspective, look to see how we can install as many canopy and shade providing trees as possible. So if it's amenable to the applicant, if we could replace those with anything that's on the Public Works approved street palette, section 7. So that should be, let's see, page 17 of the Urban Forest Management Plan. So basically just swapping out those queen palms with anything that's on that list I think would be appropriate. They've already been pre-approved by Public Works and would actually just add to the overall, I think, aesthetics of the city. So again, I will say this time and time again, anytime I get the chance, a palm tree is technically not a tree. It doesn't have secondary growth. It is a grass. I will stand on that hill or die on that hill, I guess in this case, die on that palm tree. But I do believe that we will end up with a better long-term product if we encourage some sort of tree to actually replace those queen palms in section L2. And I think that might be a question for the applicant. But other than that, see no issue with the project.
Thank you. Staff will work with the applicant on the landscape review and encourage for canopy trees as part of that review.
And I'm sorry, and again, I just want to give you the context as to what we're trying to go for, right, is mitigating the urban heat island effect as much as possible. And really the metric that we're trying to do is just overall street canopy coverage throughout the city. I think there are certain neighborhoods that have fairly robust street canopies or tree canopies. And those are always either our most high value or just coolest neighborhood. So as we kind of enter a changing climate, anywhere we can possibly add that additional shade, I think is to the betterment of the city. We won't stand under its shade, but we definitely can make sure that future residents benefit from it.
Commissioner Escamilla, I would just put that thought on ice so that when it comes back to the motion, that we can be sure to capture this specificity in the motion as perhaps an amended condition of approval or an added condition of approval. But I took notes as you were discussing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. Took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, while we go around, you can condition if you want. Commissioner Wu?
There's a high school nearby, and I was wondering, the car exit and all that, is it going to be okay, in your opinion?
So the exit would return back onto Edinger. I believe adjacent to that is more commercial, where I don't imagine this would create any impacts.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ramos?
Yes, I would just like to second Commissioner Escamilla's recommendation specifically on the landscape plan. So I would support an amendment if one was proposed by you. And then separate, I'm not sure if this would be for the case planner, the clerk's office, or IT, but none of the attachments online can be viewed. The only thing that can be open is the staff report. The public comment that was submitted by the 3:30 deadline in support of the project is also not there. And the PowerPoint that we were shown today is also not there. So someone that has written letters of position letters before, and also like just for meetings like to review all this, I ask that we make sure it's there. I know it's not the first time. So I don't think it's on you. It's just something I've noticed over several meetings where attachments cannot be opened. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Chair?
No questions.
Just want to confirm, the 2 drives are existing and can be repurposed for this lot, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And have we looked into the previous location to see if they have a high queuing rate for their other locations?
I believe the
Or I can ask the
architect
applicant, yeah.
can speak to the queue or the demand of other properties. He's available in the audience.
Okay, I'll defer that. Any other questions, commissioners?
Could staff restate the motion that was being made here?
No, not yet. We'll verbalize it once we close the finish. Seeing no other comments, the public hearing is now open. Would the applicant like to speak on the matter?
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Darian Raddick. I'm a project architect. I just want to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to come here before you. My client is not here today, but I'm representing him. I just wanted to thank Heidi for all of her help. We've been submitting plans back and forth for the last year or so. We're excited to hopefully get this project approved today. We've already submitted plans to the building department for an early start permit to try to kind of capture some of this lost time that we kind of, throughout the CUP process. So I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. But again, just thank you. Here to help out as much as I can.
Thank you. Commissioner Benninger, you have a question?
Yes, just curiosity, are you going to be raising the building and rebuilding, or are you just going to modify for use?
We are going to modify what we have there right now. We're demoing quite a bit of the building to try to fit this drive-through, but we managed to still have a successful project by demoing some of the building. But some of the 3D views are not inside the presentation, but I think you can kind of see that we have a really good vision for what we want to do. We're enhancing the building tremendously from what it is right now.
Maybe it was stated, and maybe I missed it, the ownership of the property, is it with the restaurant or is it with someone else?
It's with the restaurant. You're welcome.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Yeah, thank you for being here and for the work that you've done on this application so far. I guess, this is more of a question as to how a particular policy impacted you and your project. So would you say that if you didn't have to dedicate that additional kind of right-of-way, that you would essentially be able to use more of the existing building without having to, from your perspective as a designer and architect, would you have had more space to work with and maybe lower cost to the overall project if that dedication wasn't there?
Oh, absolutely. I think that if we didn't have to go through the dedication, I think it's like 8 feet on Edinger and 10 feet on Grand, we wouldn't have had to have demolished our building, a portion of our building. Also, I think the approval process maybe would have been a little bit easier because we went through a lot of back and forth, site studies, options, let's satisfy this requirement, that requirement. So it presented a little bit of a challenge for us initially to kind of try to satisfy the parking, satisfy the drive-through, the stacking. but, we met at work.
Absolutely. It looks like it's going to be a wonderful project, full renderings, got that in the package, so it looks good. But yeah, I was just wondering whether or not it had a, material impact on your project, and it sounded like it did. And
It did.
Yeah, we have to figure that out. It's, staff has to figure that out, not us, you guys. But the other thing then is, do you think you, or if you're entitled on speaking on behalf of the applicant, whether you'd be willing to kind of swap out some of those date palms for kind of some sort of shade-bearing tree? There's a list of about, oh my gosh, I would say 23 approved trees in the city. The list isn't with you. I guess we'd have to work with staff, but there's 23 in there. And obviously, some might not fit in maybe some of the thinner kind of landscaped areas, but maybe along those median areas or those areas closer to the street where feasible to plant an appropriate tree to go along with the landscaping. They're all drought tolerant. They're all basically designated as not having, how do I say this, overtly damaging roots to a structure, right? So like those are all qualifications for the street tree, but they will provide additional shade. Just I think overall the project will end up looking nicer over time. But if you are able to kind of speak
Oh,
on behalf.
absolutely. We can swap those queen palm trees out for, a canopy style tree.
Yeah, and it might even be cheaper because, the queen palms, you want to get the full, the full growth, and these might just be little baby trees now that can grow, and we'll definitely be looking, at least I know we will during our zoning review, our landscape standards to kind of make those work, but.
Yeah, we can include that in the conditions of approval, and we'll revise this landscape plan and submit it back to planning and building.
Yeah, and literally, I think it's going to be like 3 different lines, right? It'll be like swapping out the scientific name, and you can probably even keep the same icon, just, it's in there.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
No, very good comment.
Commissioner Will? No? Commissioner Ramos?
Just thank you for being here, the work that you've done so far, and thank you for being amicable to the changes to the landscape plan.
Absolutely.
Vice Chair?
I'm okay with the design of the drive-through. I know that's always a tricky thing, especially in Santa Ana, we have busy streets. And I just want to say thank you for bringing a first to Santa Ana and Orange County.
Oh, thank you, yes.
I'm curious, the presentation mentioned a few other locations for the Tom's Juniors. Typically, is there a lot of queuing issues in your other location in terms of long wait lines, things like that?
There is, and as part of the submittal requirements, we were asked to do a queue study, which we submitted that to the planning department. And so we're meeting the requirements that were set forth. So I think we're okay there. But yeah, every drive-through has a queue, and typically we do a study. We study other locations in Los Angeles, and I think that we have a much bigger queue with this building than the other ones.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yes, typically I would encourage a stacking plan to be submitted to staff for review, because we don't want it to spill out onto, especially a larger boulevard like this. Other than that, any other questions for the applicant? Well, thank you for your
Okay,
presentation.
thank you.
Madam Secretary, have we received any written communications, or is there any member of the public that would like to speak?
We have received public comment prior to 3:30 p.m. deadline. Comments have been distributed to the commission and published online on PrimeGov. If you're attending this meeting in person and would like to comment on this item, please fill out a request to speak form and turn it into the secretary. If you're participating via Zoom and would like to comment on this item, please select the hand icon and unmute yourself. If you're calling in and would like to comment on this item, please dial 9, then 6 to unmute yourself. Chair, we do not have any speakers.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion for this matter?
Yeah, it's all right. I'd like to make a motion with a modification of adding a condition to, I guess, in this case, it would be instructing staff to work with the applicant to review the possibility of utilizing one of the Public Works pre-approved street trees in lieu of the queen palms that are located on page L2 of the landscape plan. With that, approving the item. And I don't Know how to close that out. 1 second, sorry. Yeah, the rest of the standard language of approving conditional use permit. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just trying to find it, so sorry about that. Should have been ready. Page 5. Oh. Oh, thank you. No, thank you. Okay, and with that, approving conditional use permit number 2024-05 for a property located at 1430 East Edinger Avenue, located within the light industrial M1 zoning district.
Second.
And I second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Escamilla and a second by Commissioner Ramos.
Can I ask again, because I didn't understand, why are we adding some additional condition for a different kind of palm tree?
Yeah.
Because I can't hear you. You talk
Yeah,
so fast.
so for me, basically, the city of Santa Ana has overall an urban heat island effect. We're a very urbanized city. So what we find is anytime you add street trees that actually have additional canopy coverage, it tends to cool the surrounding area, anywhere between like 10 to 20 degrees. Like, it's an extreme difference. So from a design and pedestrian-friendly perspective, and just trying to be more adaptive to a changing climate, anytime you can get a tree or some sort of vegetation that covers more area, it's better for that surrounding environment. So right here, we have about like 5 to 6 queen palms that produce very little shade. So instead of having those queen palms, we should plant a tree now. In 20, 30 years, they're going to be very nice bushy trees. And all of these have already been pre-approved by the Public Works Department as a pre-approved street trees within Santa Ana. So we're just going back to that list and saying, hey, we really would like to add these pre-approved street trees to this area.
And this is a fast food restaurant, right?
Fast food restaurant.
And currently, the Yellow Basket doesn't have that kind of tree.
No, the current landscape does not have any sort of landscape other than some dead grass currently.
So for this guy to be moving in there to set up a new one, we're going to require him to put some additional thing that.
Well, he's already required to install trees or install landscaping. We're just trying to say like, hey, we want landscaping with additional canopy if we have the choice and option right now. And
But
it
up
actually
until
might be-
now, it passed staff review.
Well, I think the applicant is amicable to it, right? Any other comments, Commissioner Wu? Well, to summary, we have a motion by Commissioner Escamilla as condition with the landscape recommendation, and a second by Commissioner Ramos. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Commissioner Benninger,
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Leo, Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
I'd like to say yes to the project, but I don't know about the amendment. I don't know how to vote on this.
Commissioner Wu, it would either have to be, you would either have to support the motion in its entirety or.
So I reluctantly support the motion.
Commissioner
And
Wu.
I'm not being anti-environmental either.
Go ahead.
Just to clarify, are you saying yay or nay to the motion? Commissioner Wu.
Oh, I'd say yes.
Vice Chair Oliva,
Aye.
Chair Pham.
Aye.
Motion approved by majority vote with Commissioner Leo absent.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That concludes the business calendar. Moving on to staff comments. Ali, do you have any comments?
Yeah, Chair, thank you. Just a few. So firstly, with the commission members that are present now, if the commission wants to re-vote on the excused absences, you're more than welcome to re-entertain that if so desired. Secondly, just as some advisement, the July 8th and July 22nd Planning Commission meetings are shaping up to be very busy with multiple items on them. So please just continue to do the wonderful job you're doing by responding to Nuvia's emails, letting her know whether you'll be in attendance. as both meetings, again, will have about, I believe, 5 or 6 items on there, including the election of officers at the first meeting in July. Then lastly, I'm pleased to announce that we are going live with in-depth community workshops for the zoning code update beginning in July, with 5 meetings, possibly a 6th in the works. We've prepared flyers for the community in English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and Khmer, and had a very successful community planning collaborative last 2 Thursdays ago that was attended by about 50 individuals representing multiple language groups and different community-based organizations. So we're very excited to launch these meetings in a new format with a new way of engaging our community. And topics to be discussed would transcend not just the zoning code, but also talk about things like public realm improvements, like sidewalks, bicycle safety, street furniture, street lightings, as well as even historic preservation topics as well. So these meetings would have consultants, not just from our zoning code consultant team, but also a firm that specializes in historic preservation, as well as another firm that specializes in public realm plans. And that way, when community members sort of bring up anything that relates to their neighborhoods, there will be multiple topics sort of represented, if you want to think about it that way, so that we don't have to tell someone, oh, that's not related, go to that meeting. It's all there to make sure that everyone's time is spent as wisely as possible, because we know that evenings and weekends are very important to our community members. So I'll leave these flyers up front for anyone from the public that's interested in taking them. They'll also be available online, and I'll pass them out to the commission as well. Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Wu.
Yeah, so the update to the zoning codes, right? It would be something like, I know that in the community, we're talking about certain things that may not already be there, like such as item which is interpreted about how we could get a better, community or address some issues in terms of that, but it's not currently. So would that be the place that we would get more direction? As you listen, you would incorporate that in updates?
These are the first outreach meetings to begin the listening process to our community, build off the existing policies and successes of the general plan, which, as many of you know, was a 7-year arduous effort towards community engagement and consensus building and listening from as many segments of our community as we could. And so to continue that success, the zoning code would now solicit sort of neighborhood input with any degree of specificity, whether it's high level or if it's very targeted, this is what's happening on my street and this is why I like it, or this is what I don't like it, to just start hearing and beginning to distill those and then come back to the community repeatedly to make sure we got it right, we heard it right throughout this whole process.
So are quality of life issues kind of those things too, like reducing certain diseases, like alcoholism?
If they can be tied to zoning, that is the purpose of these engagement meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
That's it, Chair. Go ahead.
Yeah, before we make our rounds, I just want to make sure, so have we motioned to approve item A and B? Or has that just been postponed till now?
It all happened so fast that I'm not too sure item B was approved.
There was a motion for, a motion and second for item A and B. As Ali mentioned, you can go back and revisit item B, which is excuse absence, because Commissioner Escamilla and Chair Pham were not here during that.
Well, let's just do a little housekeeping then. Can you,
Does that take a motion to go back?
or just a roll call?
It would be just a motion for item B.
I'd like to make a motion that we go back and look at the excused absences.
I second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Benninger and a second by Vice Chair Oliva.
Point of clarification, should the motion be to just name what absences are excused, or are we motioning to reopen that discussion?
the intent of Commissioner Benninger's motion was to reopen the discussion. So it sounds like we had a motion and a second. And so if there's consent to that, then we would take a motion to excuse the absences.
So basically what I see we're doing is that we now have two members that showed up just in the nick of time and changed theirs to present. The only thing is Commissioner Leo, I don't know if he called beforehand or if there's been any
He did.
communication.
He said he was going to be out of town.
Okay, so that would be an excused absence.
Right, so do we have a motion to excuse these absences?
I make a motion that we give him excused absence.
I second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Benninger and a second by Vice Chair Oliva. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Commissioner Benninger,
Aye.
Commissioner Escamilla,
Aye.
Commissioner Leo, Commissioner Ramos,
Aye.
Commissioner Wu,
Aye.
Vice Chair Oliva,
Aye.
Chair Pham.
Aye.
Motion approved by majority vote with Commissioner Leo absent.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Benninger, any final
I
comments?
have a question, and I don't know if it's appropriate or not, Ali, but when you go through planning, and, I worked in ETech when we developed that list of approved trees. Is that in the planning manager's hands to see what are approved trees?
Staff often encourages applicants to consider a variety of factors when it comes to how they design their landscape plan, not just like, I think some of the points brought up tonight were really great, but also there's consideration for like, and I know this may sound funny to hear for the first time for some members, but even like the thickness of the trunk, some owners may say, hey, if it's too much of a canopy, it's gonna block the view of my signage. Or also just conflicts between the canopy and the lighting in the parking lot. So these are all things that staff tries to balance, but ultimately, the landscape plans that are brought before the commission are conceptual in nature. They're not finalized until after the commission meeting and after the plan check process, because some things may have to get tweaked here and there in fine detail. So yes, to answer your question, the approved sort of street tree list is one thing that's considered, but it's not the only thing that's considered.
Well, no, and I just point out that we did a good extensive work looking at root control and what kind of damage they could cause to buildings and surrounding pipes, and all that was looked at, including also height and what have you. And Commissioner makes a very good point as far as heat in the city and reduction of heat. Honestly, on a hot day, and I give you credit for eating a sweater. I don't know how you're doing it, my friend. But the point being that I think it's good that even beforehand, and he pointed out some very good issue.
Commissioner Escamilla?
Yeah, well, thank you, Carl. Appreciate that. Yeah, I guess for me, I'm just going to let you know now that I will not be available for that second meeting in July. I will be, yeah. So 22nd. I believe I'm leaving out of town on the 19th and will not be back until my birthday. It is the rationale and reason for the long hair. I'm going to be going to a metal festival overseas and enjoying myself, and no planning commission for me though. So, yeah. That's it.
Commissioner Wu? No. Commissioner Ramos?
No comments, thank you.
Vice Chair?
No comments.
I think just because Commissioner Ramos brought up having all the materials ready, just to confirm that. And I know that previously before, I think Sarah sent out the attachments in the confirmation emails, maybe just as a redundant.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Commissioner Ramos, thank you for bringing up the issues you encountered. A couple of us did check using our own laptops and didn't encounter the same issues. So after this meeting, I would like anyone who's having issues just come up to me and let's see specifically what you were not able to see, because I would like to visit it with the city clerk's office.
Yeah, I was only able to see the staff report. Everything
Okay.
else said not available at this time.
That's interesting. Okay, thank you for that.
But
And
maybe
then-
you checked after me.
No, it's all right. I mean, it's good feedback to hear. And then secondly, we do include an attachment PDF of the entire packet as well with the emails that go out. But again, if you as commissioners are encountering any issues before the meeting, or you're doubtful, are we even having a meeting? Please, contact Nubia, contact me. Our jobs are to make sure that you all are successful in your roles as planning commissioners.
Other than that, no comments?
That may not be intentional. I think that the world of the AI or the computers that most companies and jurisdiction use are kind of failing. I recently encountered that at the airport and with a rental car company. They recorded the wrong car being rented. And so the documents not being in there, not being available, kind of suggested it was there before, but for some reason, we don't know what happened in the system. Yeah. So I just want to balance it out, that it's not intentional, but it did make it not available. And I'm glad she brought it to our attention.
And then I know July 4th is coming up. So happy July 4th. Also, I'd like to say I love July 4th, but the 1 month pre-fireworks shows, it gets quite disruptive. Other than that, we'll conclude today's meeting. Next meeting will be July 8th,